What is going on, everybody? It is your boy Blank Online here today to chat with you guys more about some Call of Duty Modern Warfare. And ladies and gentlemen, I have some breaking news, some world-ending coronavirus breaking news. Some crazy shit is about to go down on March 10. The game mode that everyone's been waiting for, the game mode that absolutely no one has played yet, the game mode that no one knows what's going on with, like literally the best kept secret in Call of Duty history. Warzone is coming to us on March 10, apparently. It's just another leaked rumored release date. It was meant to be February 18, it was meant to be March 3rd, now it's meant to be March 10. The one thing I will say about the March 10 release date is that at that point, March 10 will mark the 1 month period from the time that I went on holiday. Therefore, it's pretty much been a month since Season 2's been out. So, you'd kind of think that we've had enough teasing by looking at a classified game mode tile on the main menu. You'd think by a month's time they'd actually have something concrete, or at least a teaser trailer and not a Tamagotchi to show to us in regards to Warzone. Like, the funny thing is Warzone isn't even like a confirmed title of the Battle Royale. Like, it's just a really solid leak that has been told to us. Like, no one official has told us that this game mode is called Call of Duty Warzone. We had to find it out ourselves. So it's kind of interesting, the fact that for a month we have nothing official and nothing super duper concrete about this game mode. And apparently it's coming March 10. So if it actually comes on March 10, cool. Look, honestly, at this point, I don't care what day. If it's a Tuesday, if it's a Sunday, I don't give a fuck. Just give me the game mode. Let me play it. Let me play Warzone. Let me take a break from the traditional multiplayer, because I need a break. I need a fucking break from the multiplayer. So please, Infinity Ward, Activision, just fucking release it, and then we can all be sweet. Anyways, I got some really interesting new leaked details here as well from our good friend the Gaming Revolution, who's the main man behind leaking pretty much everything to do with Warzone and Modern Warfare and Call of Duty in general. So the Gaming Revolution has a couple different sections and a couple different details he's leaked through data mining and stuff like that. First off is terms of player progression and level cap, which is one of the things that I was very interested in to find out. Whether or not Warzone is going to have its own progression system like how Blackout did in Black Ops 4, or whether or not it's going to be tied in. We know now that it's going to be tied in according to the Gaming Revolution's leaks. So apparently the battle pass and your levels essentially will be carried across both game modes, which makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense for both the battle pass and your normal leveling to be tied. The one thing that I never really understood with Black Ops 4 and Blackout is how you had the battle pass, which would carry over both game modes, but the leveling system was completely different, and the way you level up in each game mode was very different as well, which again didn't make sense because you had two different sets of progression and two different ways of progressing, which I guess it really separated those game modes, so it didn't feel like you're playing one continuous game. And that's one thing that Infinity Ward really, I guess, harped on about and kind of pushed, was the fact that whether or not you're playing campaign multiplayer Spec Ops, you always feel like you're playing the same game, which is not really something you could say about Black Ops 4, because Black Ops 4 was very obviously 3 separate game modes, 3 separate sets of progression, 3 very different types of games mushed into one. So it's nice to see at least that Infinity Ward is trying to make Modern Warfare sort of one cohesive thing. It would be really annoying having 2 sets of progression, because we know that the progression will just reset at the end of the season. So what's the point in grinding for 2 different sets of progression? It's a lot better, and I guess it's not the most ideal situation in the world because it does reset, but it's a lot better to have just one set of progression over both game modes. So I'm really happy about that, and that's the case. Now, one of the next things I want to point out as well is that apparently Warzone will actually be a standalone game that's free to play for everyone. Now, I had talked about this in my last Warzone video, the fact that it was leaked that apparently Warzone was going to be its own separate game. Now, it makes a lot of sense. they've done this before where they had their main game and then they had a menu item to go into another game. So in Infinite Warfare, you had a menu tile that would take you to Modern Warfare Remastered. Same thing with Modern Warfare Remastered, you had a game tile to go into Infinite Warfare. And obviously that was an Infinity War thing, and it makes sense that they're kind of doing the same thing here with Warzone. We sort of knew even before the Season 2 came out, and even before everything, and even before Modern Warfare came out in general, there was rumors that Infinity War was working on a Battle Royale. And in my earlier videos, before Modern Warfare came out, I talked about how it would be interesting to have the main game come out and then a couple months later have this Battle Royale come out in like as its own standalone kind of thing. And I was kind of right. Like, if we look now, I was kind of right in my prediction on what they were going to do, and it makes a lot of sense, because what can happen here with Warzone being its own separate game, it opens up that game to everybody. It doesn't have to be closed off to just people who purchase Modern Warfare or just Call of Duty fans. It's opened up to Fortnite fans, PUBG, Apex. Everyone can play Warzone without even owning Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and I guess that helps as well, because if people really like Warzone, they'll buy Modern Warfare. There'll obviously be things where players can upgrade to the full game, the full Modern Warfare experience, and get campaign, multiplayer, Spec Ops and all that jazz. Even though Spec Ops doesn't work, that's besides the point. It's good to have that sort of gateway into Modern Warfare, and I guess that's one of again, another good thing that they're doing here with Warzone is allowing everyone to play it, and not just people who bought Modern Warfare, because I'm sure there's even Call of Duty fans that didn't buy Modern Warfare, or maybe Call of Duty fans who traded in Modern Warfare who want to jump into Warzone and possibly rebuy the game. Like, there's a lot of opportunities here for the player base to increase, and I'm sure that you guys and myself personally even have a lot of friends who don't own Modern Warfare, and this is a great way to play Call of Duty with your buddies without them having to pay for the game, because they maybe be iffy about Modern Warfare. So in a sense, it's really good that it's going to be free to play, accessible to everyone, and its own sort of standalone game. And the people who've already bought Modern Warfare, obviously we already get that experience, and we can just jump in straight from the game that we've already purchased, and it's all good there. I think it's going to be really good for something like that to be in the game. Now, the next thing I want to talk about here is what's called the Blood Money mode, and this is actually not something that I've necessarily seen, but something that the Gaming Revolution touched on. He believes that's going to be a special playlist in Warzone that gives players additional objectives or missions, much like heists in GTA 5, which allow players to earn more plunder. Plunder obviously being the money system in Warzone that allows you to buy like armor and different equipment and that sort of stuff whilst you're in the game, where you have like banks and ATMs and all that sort of stuff. We've touched on plunder a lot in my previous video, so I won't really go into it a lot here, although the Gaming Revolution does talk about plunder a little bit. There's a lot here to kind of touch on apparently, and I thought plunder was just going to be something really small. I didn't think it was going to be a massive system here in Warzone, but apparently it's going to be something fairly important to create an entire game mode around, which is very interesting. Obviously plunder was always going to be a very big factor of the Battle Royale. I just didn't think it was going to be this big of a factor. If you compare plunder here in Warzone, comparing it to Blackout in terms of tiers of armor, apparently the Gaming Revolution is telling us that plunder systems, so like having the banks and ATMs and stuff like that, is how you upgrade your armor in the form of plates. Players being able to carry a maximum of 3 plates at a time, and being able to stack those plates onto your armor using those supply stations that we talked about in my previous video as well, and then using those equipment stashes and supply stations to then upgrade your armor that way using plunder. And it's very interesting to see plunder as the system that originally I wasn't very keen on the plunder system, because I was like, what the fuck are you playing with money for in a Battle Royale? But if it's going to be this big thing apparently, and if it's going to be the system that's super duper important here for Warzone, it's important that it's spread over every aspect of the game mode. Like, why have and implement this sort of feature and not sort of I guess, push it in every aspect of the game mode. So obviously you push it in terms of upgrading your armor, buying equipment, depositing it into banks and ATMs in order to get XP. Like, it's going to be a system that's very, very important here in Warzone. And I like how they're kind of spreading it across and spreading its influence across every single aspect. Because what's the point of having and placing importance on plunder when there's only a couple of uses for it? So I like that there's seemingly going to be many ways that you can use the system in order to boost your chances of winning the game, essentially. So I like that, and I like how that is I like how that's a big thing that's going to be here in Warzone. That's pretty much all I have here in terms of the leaks that the gaming revolution gave to us. The most interesting thing here would probably be the fact that it's going to be standalone, as well as that in the player progression as well, also being a big factor here in the latest round of leaks. Now, honestly, at the start of the video, take the March 10 date as with a grain of salt. Like, it's just apparently another thing and another day on another Tuesday. Like, we can speculate and all that sort of stuff, but honestly, we'll never know the official date until we get a trailer or a teaser or an official announcement from either Infinity Ward or Activision to tell us when Warzone is coming out. I hope it's sooner rather than later, so we get our hands on the game mode so I can create content on it, because I'm super excited and I have lots of things lined up that I want to kind of play around with when Warzone comes out and make content based on that. So I'm super excited for that to launch so I can get those things going. But yeah, leave a like if you enjoyed this video, comment down below. What's the most interesting thing we talked about today? Was it the new release date? Was it the plunder system, player progression, standalone game, anything that we talked about? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Click subscribe if you're new here so you don't miss out on my next video, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace out.
Pull up in the gold, I'm leading. But them other man need feeding. I don't wanna go Bombay. Them I don't know what I do when I go from Beeling. Leading the pack in black and I'm on with a bat. Snapping with a phone and die. Boss up a man with a duster. Put him in the drip and sit blockbuster. Win, that's the only ammo. Ring, I reply with NO. Call me Leno, had it hot.